Okay, Richard Halverson here. This is ITS 128, and we are now starting week 4. This is today is September 30th, and getting ready for Halloween here. And so I'm gonna cover we're in week, I guess we're in week 6 or so, and so today I'm going to cover that section, which is the first half of chapter 4. So let me share my screen. All right. So here's I have it open to La Lima, and this is our web page, and we are in. You notice I finally filled in the rest of the lessons tabs here. I think. Anyway, we're in week 6, September 30th today, and we're going to cover. It's the start of covering mathematical functions and strings, and this video that I'm making right now is going to go right here. And these are the learning outcomes, which basically are the chapter objectives, which you'll see on the first page of the chapter. Up to section 4.4, which is where we are today. And then, so here's a checklist. We want to make sure, and it's a good idea to go through all the sections first before you start taking the quizzes. I've noticed that there's lots of times, or like one question per quiz ends up being from a part that comes after the quiz. So, so I suggest you go through sections 4.1 through 4.4 in the chapter, and then come back and tackle these quizzes. So let's do that. Here we are. This portion is due October 6th. You should do your best to get it done by then, because otherwise you fall behind. And so I'm just going to go through and cover these, quickly go through these, cover these sections, so you're able to get a grasp of what's important, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at these quizzes. So let's just start with the objectives here. Which you see up to this section here on this this page here, right here. So let's get started here. Okay, so we're going to learn how to make something like this. First of all, let's cover some Python functions. So these are functions, and basically they are things like this, which computes the absolute value of the number x. This will compute the maximum of a bunch of numbers, and so on. And so these are functions, and you see them like this. So like the absolute value of -3 will return this. The maximum of 2, 3, 4, 6 will return 6, and so that's what this is here, and so on. So power is 2 to the 3rd power. It's the same as using the double asterisks here. And rounding will round to the nearest integer. You can put in a parameter which will round to that many digits after the decimal point. So you see something like this, which has got 4 digits after the decimal point, would round to just 3. So these up here are simple functions. These are some mathematical functions which will return a floating point absolute value. This will return what's called the ceiling, which it always rounds up. And this here will give you the floor, which means it always rounds down. This is the exponential function here, which is the same as e to something. This is the log, which is natural log to the base e of something. And you can specify a base. And you know, it doesn't really matter if you really understand these functions or where they would ever be used. All you got to know how to do is to convert something that's written that perhaps looks like this into these series of functions. And so that's where the trick or the talent comes in. But you may be familiar, these may be familiar sounding names, sine, the arc sine, cosine, but you might not remember them. Degrees, radians, that's okay. So here we're just showing examples on how to display out, you know, what these values are. And let's see, what is, okay, this sort of executes this. It shows what the execution is when one line at a time. All right, so so take a look at that. Here's an example of where it's a program where we are figuring out where, let's see, we read in coordinates. We read in the coordinates for 3 points. This is 1 point. This is a second xy coordinates, xy coordinates, xy coordinates. So these are the coordinates of 3 points. And what this program does is it figures out what the angle is. This first part, this first program here, 4.2, figures out what the angle is between our in each of these point corners. You see, this is 3 points of a triangle, and this figures out the angles of the at each of those points. The trick here is that you have to convert. Well, this actually isn't a very good description here, because again, they tell you stuff afterwards. So here's the formula for figuring out the distance between 2 points. So we've got x1 and y1, and then we've got x2 and y2. And so we can, by applying this formula, we can figure out what the distance is. So so now, you know, you didn't need to know that. Somebody else, you know, would tell you that, or, you know, somebody else would look it up, or in the description of the program that you have to write, this formula would be included. What the trick is that you have to know how to do is to convert this thing into this thing. See, so we've got x2 minus x1. Here we're doing x2 minus x3 and y2 minus y3 when we're looking at this thing here. So we have x2 minus x3, that's one of these. And when we square it, that's like saying this times this. See, so that's for the two x's, and this is for the two y's. And that's this thing. So what this thing does is it takes the square root Yes, this is wrong. This should be a plus sign right there, and this should be a plus sign right there. You see, this is what it looks like. This is the x's times the y, and then you add it, and then you take the square root of the whole thing. Now, this is a special function. The way we get this function is we have to import math. Shows up here, import math. And that's a set of functions, and this is how we access them. So this is the square root function from math, and this is the degrees function from math, and so on. So so anyway, and then the square root's the whole thing. And so we also know that this times this, it's the same thing. This times this is this thing squared, which is, this is another way of writing it. And again, this should be a plus sign. And then also, though, there's this hypot function, the hypotenuse function. And this is how you would use the hypotenuse function to also figure out what the distance is between these 2 points. So anyway, this is just an interesting program to write and to get running because it interfaces to the graphics. So let's see this thing running. What I'm going to do is take all this code here, and I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to pop up an editor here, and I'm going to paste it. So here's all this code, and I'm going to save it. I'm going to call it, let's see, let me go to the desktop, and I'm going to call it 4.3 CAG, Compute Angles Graphics.py, whatever. And so that appears on the desktop. There it is right there, in case you want to see it. So now I want to, let's run it, see what happens. So let me pop up a command prompt here. And wherever it comes up in, I have to change the directory to what this is up here. See that in faintly there. You can bring up a file manager. You can close all those. But so this is where we have the desktop. Go to the desktop, and then we can go to Properties and Location and grab this. So I'm going to copy this. And then let's go back to the command prompt and do CD, and then I'm going to do a paste. There it is. Enter, and now I'm at the desktop. And if I do a dir, I can see that there's my 4.3 CAG. That's this program right here. And so if we run that, I just can do Python 4.3 CAG.py, and we have, so now we're going to put in these coordinates. Let's pull up what the example was here. Here's the example. Let's just use that example. Why not? So it's going to be minus 111, enter 13, oops, 13, enter 106.5, enter 121, enter 6.5, enter, and minus 32.5, enter. And what happened was this thing popped up. And so what we have here is these are the angles right here. And this draws the picture. So if we look at the code, the way you figure out the angles is you have to go through all this math here, but again, what you would get is these equations written more or less this way, and you would not be, and then you would again see these equations like this, and you would just convert those into a single line program. This actually is a bad example because we need to first figure out what these points are not shown in these equations. But anyway, so you end up figuring out that these A's, B's, and C's can be computed with these functions, and then after that you figure out from this what these angles are. And again, you don't need to have known that this is the formula. You would be given something else, and you would just need to convert it in this formula. this here. This thing is this. So we see that there's a a cosine, and this is the a cosine, and this is a times a minus b times b minus c times a times a minus b times b minus c times divided by, that's divided by here, and then minus 2 times b times c, which is this, and this takes the cosine, the arc cosine of this, which is this doesn't look right. This arc cosine should be this whole thing according to this formula. Anyway, that example, I think this is the first edition of this textbook, of this online textbook. But anyway, and then here we call this turtle. So we've got this A, B, and C here. And then we call this turtle. And turtle, this starts up with the pen up, and then it goes to the first point, x1, y1, which I guess would be one of these points. And then you put the pen down, and then you move to the second point, so that draws the second line, and then you go to the third line, that draws that one, and then you go back to the first line, that draws that one. Each time you're outputting, you're writing at that point, you're writing these angles, and then you're done. So anyway, that's pretty interesting. Let's keep moving here. Here we are learning about strings, how you set variables equal to strings. And the point here is that single quotes are exactly the same as double quotes. That differs between different languages. In Python, they're both exactly equal. And there's this third way, this triple quote here. And what that does is you can actually put in returns and go to the next line and everything. So this whole thing is all of this was set equal to, will be printed out, or you can specify a variable is equal to all that. And so this is going to print out this. And so you needed to use the 3 single quotes to do that. You could not have used the either of these ones or these ones. That feature is not in any other language I know of. Okay, so let's take a look at the quiz here. What's the first question? Write a string constant that is an empty string. Well, an empty string is just the left quote and the right quote, or the left quote and the right quote. Oops, just that. So it would be just something like that. You can try that out. Okay, this is the second question. Clunker Motors is recalling all vehicles in its extravagant line, models 1990 between these years. They're also recalling the Guzzler line between these years. So we have model year, and that's going to be some year. And then we have model name, and that's going to be either extravagant or Guzzler or some other name. And what we want, and so those are going to be the inputs, the year and the name of the model. And what we want to do is we want to have this variable called recalled, and we want that to equal yes, or no, true. We want it to be true if it falls in the if it's to be recalled, and false otherwise. So we need to look if model name is extravagant and model year is between these two things, then recall is equal to true. Or if model name is equal to this and model year is between this range, then also recalled is equal to true. And that's the only time. So we're talking about something like recalled equals model year. Model year is equal to extravagant. Tell you what, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna create a new program here. I'm gonna save this as oops. This is what quiz is this? We're in quiz 4.3, 0.2. So this is so this quiz is 4.3-2.py. Okay, that's a nice name for a quiz. And so I'm going to start over again here. I just want to have a blank. Okay, so I think it's going to be let's see. Let me read in model year, and that's going to be an integer, and I'm going to say input model year. Okay, now you don't do this, okay, because they're just asking for an expression or an assignment statement. But I'm doing this just because I want to test it before I actually submit it. So there's model year and there's model name, and this is going to be a string, so I can just do input model name. And we have a variable called recalled, and that's going to equal to if model year is greater or than or equal to greater than or equal to 1999, and model year is less than or equal to 2002, and model name is equal to extravagant. Extravagant, got to make sure you spell it correctly. So it's either that, or, and I can do this, I think, right? Something like that. To make it go to the next line, this whole thing, except for it's 2004 and 2007 and Guzzler. Okay, so so I just actually, okay, I'm all right, and then I'll print recalled. Okay, I'll just do that. All right, so all right. Okay, I'm going to save this, and I'm going to run it. How do I get back to what I was doing? I think I need to close this. Yeah. All right. So now let's run Python 4.3-2.py. Oh, I don't need. All right, this is only supposed to have one of these. Model year, so let's say it's 1998, and the name is extravagant. It's recalled as false. How about 1999, extravagant, and that's true. Okay, anyway, so you can take it from there. All right, so you know what to, so you're gonna enter something else in here. Blah 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 blah. All right, what's next? Assume that C is a variable that has assigned a string value. Write an expression whose value is true if and only if C is a Newline character. Well, so let me just say a Newline character equals this. Okay, that's a Newline character. So you just have to write an expression that's going to be true if C is equal to that. Something like C equals that or something. All right, what's next? Assume that C is a variable that's been assigned a string value. Write an expression whose value is true if and only if C is a tab character. All right, a tab character is this. /t, \t, that's a tab character. You can take it from there. Given a character C whose associated value is a string, write an expression that's true if and only if C is not equal to a single blank. So, you know, it's not equal to single blank. Something like that. Take it from there. Associate two string variables, background and selection color, white and blue. So background equals something. Selection color equals something. You can figure that out. Pretty simple. Associated value foreground with red, blah, blah. Foreground equals, that's just baby question. Concatenation of hello. Okay, so concatenation is a plus sign. So Python. A equals hello. B equals world. And concatenation is print A plus B. So concatenation is plus. There you go. A plus B. All right. That's it. Very good. Okay. Great. Great. Where are we? So we have done this one. So we've got 4 more. So let's keep moving. Okay, so Ascii code and Unicode. Okay, these are 2 ways of coding these letters. Because really, binary numbers, you know, computers, it's all just binary numbers. And so they code these letters, all these other characters as particular binary numbers. And it's called character encoding. And so there's 2 of them. There's Ascii and there's Unicode. Ascii is 1 byte, Unicode is 2 bytes. So Unicode is expressed this way, which is 4 bytes, \u, and then 1 byte, 2 bytes. Whereas Ascii is, and this is like 1 byte, 2 bytes. So Chinese, I guess, is 2 characters, so it's like 4. Okay, whatever. This is for information on this. Oh, this is hexadecimal. Okay, yeah, you should know that already. What did I just do? Okay. All right, so this is showing how to display it out. Okay, so these are the codes, the Ascii codes. Okay, these are the Ascii codes in decimal. In hexadecimal, they're different. It's actually 30 to 39. It's 30. Is that right? 30? Yeah. Yes. 41 to 5. Okay. So anyway, and you'll notice the codes for lowercase letters are greater than the codes for uppercase letters, and the codes for the letters is greater than the codes for these. See, this is the character 0, and this is the character 9. And so, you know, you when you type in like 1, 2, 3, when you're typing it in, you're typing in the 1 character followed by the 2 character followed by the 3 character. And so that's why you have these conversion functions to convert those 3 characters into an actual value of 123, for example. All right, that's fine. Self-check. Or like if you want to convert back and forth from the number to the actual character, and then from the character to the actual number. So if the character is actually the lowercase a, and you want to say ORed the character, that's going to tell you what the number is that corresponds to the lowercase a, which is 97. And then car is the other way around. What is the character for number 98? Well, it's a lowercase b. What is the ordinal of the uppercase a? Well, it's 65. The ordinal value is 65. And of course, the ordinal value of the uppercase letter a, and then you want to take the character that is represented by the ordinal value of uppercase a, and that, of course, is uppercase a. All right, so that's those 2 functions. And there's also there's this special backslash. Oh, by the way, if you want to do quotes or single quotes or whatever, you need to you got to use a different set. Like for example, here, this one here, we have inside here we've got a double quote, and we also have a single quote. And so if we want to actually display out the character, the sentence, we have to delimit them by something other than one of those 2. So that's why we're using the 3 single quotes to delimit this sentence, which is kind of a problem sentence because it's got both single quotes and double quotes in it. Anyway, another way to do it is with this backslash character. And so backslash character is used for special characters. It's used to, if you want to display out a double quote, you can do backslash double quote, backslash single quote. If you want a backspace, you do backslash B. If you want a tab character, backslash T. See, here we're learning the backslash T is a tab character. And the quizzes, do you remember I told you should go through all these sections before you go back and take the quizzes? Because it's here now that we learn that tab is backslash T, line feed is backslash N, and so on. If you want to put a backslash in there, you put backslash. That's cute. All right. So now what's next? Printing without a new line. Okay, so you know how whenever we do a print, it always prints something out, like print hello. Okay, it automatically prints a new line after that. But let's say we didn't want to do that. We can say print hello, and then we do comma end equals nothing. See, it just prints out hello, and then it's ready for me to print something else again. So it did not print that return afterwards. And that's because we used this end equals something. Now, we decided to use end equals nothing, but if we were, but we could do, you know, print hello, comma, end equals asterisk or something funny like that. And see, it does that. It puts that asterisk there. We can do print hello, comma, end equals quote \n \r. Oops, r. And that just does it because normally this is what the default is. And I just set it explicitly. We can get stupid and go print hello hell LO no end equals LO. See what the oops quote there, hello. Anyway, that's what that's how we can do that. There's the str function, which converts a number to a string. That's kind of like, you know, we have an int function to convert a string into an integer. We have a float function to convert a string into a floating point number. And it makes sense that if we're starting with some number and we want to display it out as a string, we have a string function. So we can concatenate using the plus sign. We already know that. I've already told you that concatenate is a plus. We can always, you can also do this multiplication thing where it's a string multiplied by a number. We'll just repeat the string that many times. So S1 is equal to welcome. So 3 times S1 will display out welcome, welcome, welcome. And it's commutative, which means you can do 3 times S1 or you can do S1 times 3. Same thing. All right, here's some more quiz questions. And so let's take a peek at what these are. Expression that is the concatenation of 2 strings, blah, 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 whatever, what's next? Expression is concatenation of the 3 strings separated by commas. I see. So you want it to display out this. Well, you actually have to put the commas in there, and don't be confused. So print name 1 plus comma plus name 2 plus comma plus name 3 plus. Okay, so we're concatenating name 1 with a comma, and then concatenating with name 2, and concatenating with a comma, and concatenating with a 3, and then concatenating with a comma, which we do not need. All right, what's next? So in this question, there's a string variable, and the string variable is called address. And what we want to do is and so address will contain something that can look like this. And what we want to do is we just want to concatenate this onto the front of the variable address, so it would display out or print out like that. So we're just talking about, you know, something like that plus this variable address, and that's fine that you call it that. All right, what's next? Write an expression that concatenates the string variable suffix onto the end of the string prefix. All right, so we're just having prefix, a variable called prefix, concatenated with the variable suffix. And this last question is, given a variable word that has been assigned a string value, write a string expression that parenthesizes the value of word. So for example, if word is sadly, then you want it to look like this. So all you have to do is take a left parentheses character, concatenate that with word, and then concatenate it again with the right parentheses character, you know? Oops. Plus word plus more. All right? So I'm gonna, so we are done with, I have covered all of the way up through 4.3.6. So I've covered, oops. And so I'm gonna, I'm going to, I'm going to terminate this video right now. I'm going to make this week's video into 2 parts because I want to check to make sure this video has turned out okay. So I'm going to end this now and start up again after I've confirmed that this video is a good one. Thanks for watching. Okay, in this video, we're going to continue with the first part of Chapter 4. In our ITS 123 week 6, I guess we're in. Let me so let me share my screen. Okay, so here we are. Let me so we are in week 6, yes, and so I'm going to cover these last 3 quizzes, the sections, the rest of section 4.3, 4.4, and these last 3 quizzes. So that would be right here, reading strings from the console. Hello. All right. So here, we've been reading strings from the console for a long time, so this is old hat to us. We just have an input. If we're just reading a string in, we just need input. We don't need any kind of conversion. There's the in and the not operators. That's to find out, to figure out, to test if one string within another string. And so in this for example, we've set S1 equal to the word welcome. And here, this is an expression. And the expression is the string COME in S1. And that's going to be equal, it's either going to be true or false. In this case, it's true. We can put a not in front of that to make it not in. And in this case, it's false because the character string COME is, in fact, within S1. All right. We can use these operators to compare strings. And the comparison is simply like alphabetical order, where the Ascii codes are what the order is for each of the characters. So, for example, here we know that green is not. These 2 strings are not equal. Obviously, it's true that these 2 strings are not equal. GR comes after GL, so GR is greater than, comes after GL, so that's why this is true. This is also true because it's greater than or equal to. This is false because GR does not come before GL. GR comes after GL, alphabetically, of course. And this is less than this. All right. So here's a quiz here. Let's take a look at it. Write an expression that evaluates to true if and only if S refers to the string N. So something like this, I would guess. Write an expression that evaluates to true if the string associated with S1 is greater than the string. Okay, so if S1 is greater than S2, last name refers to the string, a string that is greater than the string Dexter. Such simple questions here. Write an expression that evaluates to true if and only if the variable S does not refer to the string N. Yeah, that's easy. So write a fragment of code that assigns the larger of their associated values to first. So we can just do something like first equals name1, and if name2 is greater than first, then first equals name2. Something like that. Clunker Motors is recalling the extravagant line model years this. Given the variables model year and model name, write statements that assign true to recalled if the values of model year and model name match the recall details. Well, this is just like a previous one that we did. So you're going to have something like recalled equals model year and model name match. So model name equals extravagant, blah, blah, blah. And model year is greater than or equal to blah, blah, blah. And model year is less than or equal to blah, blah, blah. So you got to figure that one out. That's pretty easy. All right. That was 4.9.3. Functions for strings. There's some string functions. We have the length of S, returns the length of number of characters. We have the max of S, that will return the biggest, the largest or the highest letter or character. In this is S, and so the highest character is going to be this O here. Remember, the capital W is much less than lowercase w. And looks like of the lowercase, all the lowercase ones are greater than capital W. So it's O, all right? For the smallest one to be the W because lowercase or uppercase letters are less than lowercase letters. So very good. What's next? Index operator. This is to return an actual character out of a string. This will return this character. So like if we're talking about S of 2, what's S of 2? It's this one O. It's O. See, there it is O. What's between S between 2 and 8? Can I get rid of this?